Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady coming at you with another top 5 plants video for the month of August right here from my Zone 7 Central North Carolina garden. My next pick should be super obvious. I've been talking about it all summer, waiting in anticipation for these plants to rise and start to bloom. Let me turn the camera around and give you a close-up of one of my favorite summer tropical annuals, Sesame. What you are seeing here is sesame. This is white seeded sesame that was direct seeded in the middle of June. We are now the last part of August, and you can see how large the plants are, how tall they are, and you can see the flowers right there. And if you look down the stem, you see the seed pods, which aren't ripe right now, but those are going to be full of sesame seeds that, yes, you can eat. You can also just save them to grow the next year and share with other people. I do both. Hands down, sesame is one of those plants that completely changed my life as a person interested in growing grains and kind of unusual food crops. So my sesame story started at Monticello about, 5 or 6 years ago. And never in my life had I seen it growing. Never in my life had I even thought about the fact that sesame was a plant. I know, super lame, totally normal. I think there's a lot of things that we just as people generally take for granted because you don't have to grow it in order to access it. Sesame was one of those just sort of aha light bulb moments for me. I don't eat a ton of sesame, but nevertheless, I was totally charmed and kind of infatuated with it. I tracked down seeds through Baker Creek Heirloom Seed, and I grew it out for the first time and realized this is a plant that is super heat and humidity tolerant. It does extremely well here in the hot, humid Southeast. Once it's established, which by direct seeding is very easy to accomplish, it really doesn't need a ton of water. I mean, I definitely supplemented the water supply here in this bed when we were really hot and dry through June and July. But August, we've been hot and humid, but getting rain with some frequency, which is why the sesame looks so healthy. Overall, it's just a plant that I can't say enough positive things about. Yeah, it needs to be in more sun than shade, like pretty much every other vegetable. Sorry, I've not cracked the code on how to grow full sun things in dense shade. I wish I could retire. But if you have a sunny border and you just want to fill in some open space temporarily, sesame is totally the plant that I would recommend doing that, particularly if you can allow it to grow up and be tall. In my highly enriched soil, this bed is basically built from soil cube. Everything in here is just kind of supersized, and that's how I like it. I have grown sesame in leaner soils, and it is much shorter and less productive. So I would recommend enriching your soil a bit so that you can make the most of your sesame harvest. So you might be asking, what is eating the leaves? And to be honest, I don't totally know. I think it's probably grasshoppers. I don't care about foliage that gets nibbled on. That just means my garden is happy and healthy. Now this is Sesame indicum, the white seeded sesame. And this is a plant that I believe Thomas Jefferson brought into the country and was the first to cultivate. I might be wrong, but that's sort of the story I've always heard. Now in contrast, here is the dark seeded sesame. And the main difference here is that it has a pinker flower. You can see this one has much darker pigmentation, and then the seeds will actually be black. And both the black seeded sesame and white seeded sesame are delicious for cooking. This was sown the middle of July. So much later than a month later than the white seeded sesame. You see how well it's doing. And when I talk about this in programs, I always sort of describe it as a foxglove that blooms all summer. Look at all those flower buds coming, and they just sort of flower right up the stalk And then over time, you'll end up with lots and lots of seed pods to be able to harvest from. Now, it's not sesame harvesting season right now, so I can't show you that process in this moment because, well, that's not how gardening works. I am featuring this plant as a top 5 pick for the month of August because of its durability and its beauty. It's very low maintenance characteristic. Super simple just to scatter some seeds out and watch it grow. Now, I have been having some trouble sourcing sesame seeds, so I don't actually have a link to be able to share. I'm going to tell you this now in hopes that you'll remember. I actually sell sesame seeds, both black and white seeded sesame, in the spring at my spring open garden. Remember, I only do seed sales at in-person events, no mail order. But if you're really interested in growing sesame, mark down on your calendar my spring open garden date and plan to come and visit Central North Carolina so that you can pick up some really awesome seeds to grow at home. Well, I hope you'll be inspired to include sesame on your must-grow list next year. Like I said, mark down my spring open garden date if you want to get some seeds from me. Otherwise, my recommendation is to start asking Google. If you buy seeds this fall, don't plant them yet. You have to wait until the soil is really warm, which is why I usually try to do it sometime mid-June through mid-July. Sesame is a warm season tropical plant. It does not like cold soil, so there is no advantage to you getting the seeds sown early in the spring because the plant simply won't grow. Well, stay tuned for tomorrow's top pick for August, right here from Zone 7, Central North Carolina. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.